Now, before we start the Packer creation template process, I want to go over the Packer template structure. Now, when you create a Packer template, you will almost always use a base image. Now, this base image has an operating system such as Ubuntu. Now, depending on your use case, you will select a suitable base image. Now, for our purposes, we're going to create a Packer template that will create an AMI image in AWS. Now, this image will use a base Ubuntu image. It will also have Docker installed and configured to send logs to the AWS CloudWatch service. Now, we'll also pull down a Docker image container from the Docker Hub that we can then run. So in general, we're going to have the base image, and then we're going to have Docker installed, and then we're going to have the Docker container that we're going to pull down from the Docker Hub account. Now, what I'd also like to show you here is the structure for the template itself. Now, the Packer template consists primarily of a source block and a build block. Obviously, we're going to have some variables and other parts of it, but the two main parts are the source block and the build block itself. So the source block specifies the source of the base image that you want to use, and the build block is where you can further customize the image by adding in your configurations and software that you want the image to run. Now, there are different sources that you can use as the base image, and as we mentioned already, for our purposes, we're going to be using the Amazon EBS source. Now, we'll go into in depth in terms of what this involves in upcoming videos, but the takeaway here is that you can use different sources to build out your image, and it doesn't have to be only on AWS. Now, if you look at the sources here, now if I go to the side here, you can see if I collapse this or if I uncollapse it, then you've got all of the different sources that we can use to build our image. So at the moment, we're using the Amazon EC2, and in particular, we're using the EBS here. But as you can see here, you can use Azure, you can use Chef, CloudStack, and the list goes on. So as I mentioned already, the takeaway here is that you can use the available builders or the available sources for creating your image with Packer. Let's now go back to our diagram. Now, in the build block, you can run what Packer calls our provisioners. Now, they allow you to use built-in and third-party software to install and configure the machine image. Now, this is the most powerful part of Packer in that you can run multiple provisioners to really customize your image to your heart's content. So let's have a look at the provisioners here. Now, in the provisioners docs on the Packer page here, we've got the different provisioners that you can run. So you can run a file provisioner, you can run the PowerShell, you can run the shell, you can run a Windows shell, a custom, and all the different available provisioners here. You have all the instructions and the docs. Now, for our purposes, we're going to be making use of the file and the shell provisioner. Now, as I mentioned already, it depends on your use case, but you can really customize your image here to your heart's content using provisioners. Now, in the next video, we're going to start the Packer template process, or we're going to start building our Packer template, and we're going to start with all the variables that we need for building our Packer template.